Welcome to NJ Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the TV series Servant of the People released in the year 2015. Volodymyr Zelensky, the current president of Ukraine, is the star cast of this show. Okay, let's get started. The movie opens up at night with a scenic view of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. The time is 1 week before the presidential election in Ukraine. Three mysterious oligarchs of Ukraine, Andrei Nikolaevich, Mikhail Semenovich, and Rustem Ashetovich, discuss installing their own presidential candidates for an upcoming election in Ukraine. These oligarchs have funded millions for the election campaign for their candidates, hoping among one of their candidates will win the presidential race. In a peaceful suburb of Kyiv, Vasily Petrovich, a high school history teacher in his 30s, lives with his family of 4 in an apartment with his father, Petro, mother, Maria, sister, Svetlana, and his niece, Natasha. Oblivious to election result day, Vasily and his family members are going through their usual morning chores. Vasily's father, Petro, comes outside of the apartment carrying a dustbin in his hand. He then encounters his neighbor Igor, who parks his vehicle blocking the driveway for Petro's cab. Petro asks Igor to move his car, but Igor denies and starts mocking Petro's cab, asking if it even starts. Petro then starts cursing Igor while Igor heads to his apartment. Meanwhile, a building caretaker comes and reminds Petro not to get into any trouble with Igor, as his father has a high-level political connection. Petro then complains to the building caretaker about the driveway being too small and questions why renovation has not been done in recent years. As Petro smacks Igor's vehicle, its alarm goes off, waking up Vasily. Vasily wakes up late as he studied Plutarch's biography late last night. He looks startled for a moment to wake up 1 hour late and goes out to ask his father why he had not woken him up at 6:30. Vasily then hurriedly heads up to iron his wrinkled shirt, but soon realizes it's already late. Therefore asks his mother to iron the shirt, but she denies it, as she is also late and has to attend to her sick patient. He then asks his niece Natasha, but she too refuses as she is in a hurry for her college. While Vasily brews coffee, his father makes fun of him for being a teacher, informing Vasily that unemployment benefits are higher than a teacher's salary. Vasily also jokingly makes fun of his father being a cab driver. Vasily heads to iron his shirt, leaving the pot of coffee on the burner, asking his father to look after the boiling coffee. He asks his father to take it off the burner, but his father tells him that beggars don't have servants. Vasily's father then reminds him that today is his niece's birthday. Vasily wishes his niece Natasha a happy birthday. He promises to bring her a gift later tonight, while handing her the iron for the moment. Vasily then goes to the bathroom. He reads a magazine with the Prime Minister of Ukraine on the front cover. While Vasily reads a magazine, his father tells him to come out of the bathroom, informing Vasily that they have come for him. Vasily is annoyed and angrily says that the joke hasn't worked since the 8th grade. Vasily's mother Maria and niece Natasha also join the father and ask him to come out of the bathroom. Frantically, he opens the door, and upon coming out, he is amazed to see the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yuri Ivanovich, waiting for him. The Prime Minister greets him with "Good morning, President." The whole family is shocked by the news that Vasily is now the new president of Ukraine. An official motorcade escorts President Vasily and Prime Minister Yuri as they head toward the press conference. They both watch the news on rear seats entertainment of the car about the election. The chief election commissioner declares Vasily a winner of the presidential race with a 67% vote. The entire world leader sends their congratulations and good wishes to Vasily. Vasily then tells Yuri how he could have won the election, when he didn't even make it into the top 10 on preliminary opinion polls. Yuri also can't figure out how Vasily could have won the election. Vasily then recollects his past, remembering what had happened on that very day. Some days before the election, while Vasily is teaching history lessons to his students in Class 10B, one faculty member named Pavel enters the class. Pavel instructs the student to go into the service yard to assemble an election booth and prepare a political platform as a gesture of service to the government, since election day is fast approaching in Ukraine. Vasily is enraged after knowing that the principal specifically ordered his Class 10B to go into the service yard, who are learning history, and exempted Class 10A, because they are learning math, implying that history lesson is less important than learning math. Vasily then starts to make a profane rant against government corruption and their indifference to the plight of ordinary citizens. Vasily expresses that nothing will change, as nothing has changed in the last 25 years in Ukraine, and the same corrupt people will be elected again. He He urges to be the president for 1 week to demonstrate how significant history lessons can be to run a country properly. Pavel is left speechless as he had never seen Vasily speak in such a way before. Meanwhile, one of his students named Galatov covertly films the whole outburst and uploads it on YouTube video, which becomes viral on social media, making his history teacher Vasily overnight famous in Ukraine. However, not everyone is satisfied with the election outcome. Vasily's closest competitor Sergei, the puppet of an oligarch who has received millions for his election campaign, tells the reporter to challenge the election's result in the court. Sergei lashes out at the press that he was traveling the country and spoke with voters for 6 months, while Vasily, all he did was a curse on YouTube video. Yuri then shows Vasily a collection of fancy watches, exotic perfumes, branded shoes, and top-notch suits, which comes as a privilege of being the head of state. He photoshoots for official requirements and portrays a thematic shot representing himself with the different working classes in the country. Yuri then makes Vasily cast a mold of his hand and leg for the National Museum and the head mold profile for a collectible coin for the National Bank. The time is a few weeks back when Vasily goes to teach his students in Class 10B after being famous on YouTube for his outburst against government corruption. Some students are quarreling with Galatov, as he had previously filmed the whole tirade and uploaded it to YouTube, bringing embarrassment to their favorite teacher Vasily. Vasily instructs his student to settle down, but they are so busy quarreling that he has to smack the table with his bag to grab their attention. He asks his student if they saw his video on YouTube. To his dismay, everybody raises their hand. Vasily tells his students not to be angry with Galatov. Instead, he admits his guilt of having spoken such an outrageous, profane rant against the government and calls his outburst to be unjust. But the student tells Vasily that their parents agreed with what he said on YouTube video. Their parents would vote for Vasily if he ran for the president. Meanwhile, one of the faculty member enters the class and informs Vasily that the principal wants to see him immediately. The whole faculty members angrily stare at Vasily, as principal briefs to Vasily that the Ministry of Education called her about their school undergoing recertification due to his viral YouTube video against government corruption. She also informs Vasily that his professional integrity will be assessed at the end of the semester. Yuri hands Vasily the list of pre-made questions and answers, asking him to be prepared for the press conference. But Vasily tells Yuri that he has a teacher's meeting to attend and has to pay interest on his loan, as there is a daily late fee of 57 cents. Yuri tries to settle Vasily's loan quickly through a phone call, but Vasily denies it, stating that it will embarrass him. Yuri orders Talia, Vasily's chief security, to divert toward the bank. The motorcade makes its way toward the bank, where the manager informs Vasily that the bank has cleared his loan as a part of a yearly special for the winner of the blind lottery draw. It's later revealed that Yuri was behind clearing Vasily's loan, and the people in the bank were in fact the secret officers of Ukraine who had set up the whole thing. The motorcade makes its way toward the school. In contrast to how he was perceived earlier, this time the principal and his faculty members warmly greet him and congratulate him for winning the presidential race. The principal then mentions to Vasily that she never had ill intentions toward him and asks him not to take any previous interaction personally. Vasily then meets with his student from Class 10B. His students congratulate him on winning the presidential race. Students take a photo with Vasily saying history. As Vasily is now the country's newly elected president, Petro and Maria at home are busy receiving calls from their relatives, asking them for a favor from Vasily for the job. Petro is amazed by the renovation work being done, which had been at a halt for so long years. Petro meets the building caretaker, who informs him that the spring has come and it's time for upkeep and repair. Petro makes fun of how spring had passed away all these years but suddenly appeared. Meanwhile, a police officer approaches Petro, asking if he wants to make a complaint about the morning incident or if he would like to receive compensation for emotional distress, but Petro rejects it. The building caretaker informs Petro that from now on, he can park his vehicle wherever he wants, as the police have already moved Igor. The motorcade finally heads towards the press conference from school. Vasily remembers today is his niece Natasha's birthday. He wants to make a stop to buy her a gift, but Yuri informs Vasily that the press conference has been delayed already. Yuri asks Vasily what he would like to buy her as a gift. Vasily is confused about whether to buy a CD of singer Gizio or a cake as a gift, but after some thought he decides to buy her a CD of singer Gizio. Yuri then asks the officer Talia to get a cake and a CD of singer Gizio. Vasily arrives at the press conference so unprepared that he can't even answer any pre-made questions. He is candid with the reporters about not being prepared. He promises to come prepared next time, as he is just settling into his job as the country's newly elected president. While Vasily speaks, 3 oligarchs watching him on TV are astounded that none of the 3 oligarchs back Vasily Petrovich. It's the first time in Ukraine that a man ascended to the presidency who isn't in the control of any 3 oligarchs infuriates them. They speculate Vasily to be Kremlin-backed. One of the oligarchs immediately calls his associate, named Krivitsky, demanding a full investigation of him. One of the reporters from the press conference asks Vasily, as a history teacher, how he could have gotten money to run for election as every candidate needs 2 million hryvnias, around $67,000 to register as a candidate. Vasily tells the reporter he can answer that question with his hands down. The time is a few days after his famous viral video when Vasily has just finished teaching his class. The student asks Vasily if he has registered on the election board as a candidate for president. Students inform Vasily that 8 million people have already watched the video and everybody in the comment section wants him to run for the president. But Vasily is not serious about the presidential election and calls his viral video mere entertainment. Vasily then tells the student how a commoner like him can have such an amount of money to register for the election. But to his amusement, students had already started raising funds online through crowdfunding. The funds had crossed 2 million hryvnias, more than the required money to register in the election commission for the presidential candidate. While Vasily is returning home, Yuri applauds Vasily's shrewdness for coming up with the term crowdfunding at the press conference and tells Vasily that he will go far in this game of politics. However, Yuri doesn't buy the story that Vasily got money from crowdfunding and therefore insists Vasily open up, promising Vasily that he would remain discreet. Vasily again tells Yuri he got money from crowdfunding, this time revealing how he actually got the money. A day or so after collecting around 2 million hryvnias, Vasily's student shows up at his apartment door, handing him the crowdfunded money, saying to either give it to the election board or buy an apartment or burn it. Vasily's father tells his mom if their son has become a drug lord. While en route to Vasily's home, Yuri asks Talia if he bought the gift for Vasily's niece, the cake and Gizio's CD for her birthday. Unfortunately, Talia informs Yuri that he didn't get the Gizio's CD. With a gloomy face, Vasily then decides to give his niece Natasha money as a gift for her birthday. Vasily is delighted by the delicious spread of food on the table upon returning home. Vasily's father informs him that his ex-wife and son had called him, but they could not reach him on his phone. The family drinks the toast to Vasily's success of being Ukraine's president and Natasha's 18th birthday, enjoying the dinner. While the family is enjoying the dinner, just then, Yuri brings in the cake as a gift for Natasha on behalf of Ukraine's president, wishing her happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Singer Gizio pops himself out beneath the cake. Gizio wishes Natasha happy birthday
З днем народження, Наталя!
and starts to sing a song for her. The episode ends.